are worthy, and no one can worship you for me. For all the things you've done for me, and no one can worship you for me. Lift it up. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Receive my worship, all of my worship. Here's my worship, all of my worship. Father, receive my worship, all of my worship. You are worthy, and no one can worship you for me. For all the things you've done for me, and no one.
Greetings, family of God. Once again, welcome to In Your Corner Inspirational Talks with Pastor Lo on a Tuesday night, 7:30. What a privilege it is to be back with you guys once again. Tonight, I'm having a young pastor, a young man of God of Kingdom Oasis Church. He's also a musician. So tonight, we're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about musicians. We're going to talk about being a pastor and being talented and gifted musically. And then we're also going to talk about something that the people don't want to talk about. We're going to talk about prostitution amongst the musicians in the church, doing church hopping. Just a couple of announcements. We're meeting again on Sunday night at 6:30, 31 Parrell Street, where we will have a guest preacher, Pastor Vio, who's going to give us the word on Sunday night. But other than that, I don't want to waste your time. Let's go into it. My guest is ready, and I am ready for the night. We're just waiting for my guest to come online. Greetings, men of God. How are you doing on this beautiful Thursday, on the Freedom Day? How are you doing, men of God?
Very well, Pastor Lo. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. I can't complain. As you can hear, the people are celebrating Freedom Day out there by revving their cars, by celebrating freedom. I don't know what they are free from, but I believe that they are celebrating Freedom Day, man of God. How are you?
I'm well. Just also taking it easy on this Freedom Day. And to all the viewers and everybody that's joining us tonight, happy Freedom Day to you all.
Thank you very much, man of God. Let me just get some protocol out of the way. Greetings, Evangelist Colin Besseler. Greetings, Minister Itumeleng Hananeng. Greetings, my pastor, Pastor LJ Haskins, a man that I fall in love lately dearly. Yes, what can I say? Man of God, let's dig into it. Being a young pastor and a musician, how does your gifts complement each other?
What I always say, Pastor Lo, is that the gift will only complement each other if I, as an individual, keep a good balance between being a pastor and being a musician, because oftentimes we can focus more on the one and then the other one lack. And in this case, I believe being a pastor, it's a full-time lifestyle all day long, calling. than what you can find from being a musician. Being a musician is a totally different story. But I would say keeping a balance is what's very important when it comes to being a pastor and a musician.
Thank you very much, man of God. It is Freedom Day. Your view as to how and what it is to be free, and celebrating such a big day that was given unto us in the year 1994. How do we celebrate it as Christians being free while we are still captured by the oppressed?
Yeah, it seems like the church is also suffering under, the system of the world, and it makes things difficult, especially in the day and in the time that we're living in. But I always say to the people in my circles, the problem in our country is that we always look back and we celebrate what has been done. Nothing wrong with it, but are we going to continue celebrating what has been done, or instead of looking forward to where we're going? Because you cannot go forward looking back. So that's just my view. But to those who are celebrating it, the question to them is, are they really free?
That's also the question that I constantly ask myself, especially the millennials, those and like they call them the AMA 2000s. How do
Yes.
they know that they are free and celebrate as if they are free? But being a musician, man of God in church, this is a topic that many people, especially the pastors, don't want to touch.
Yes.
Uh, Being a musician and a pastor in the church, should musicians be paid for rendering a service to the house of God, full time or either part time?
I think it's very important to look at the situation of the musician, where he is financially, how his living conditions are, especially when he's committed to your church. I think somehow the pastor or the leaders board should look into, ways of assisting the musician, but also at the same time, and I'm just going to give my view, because a lot of people have their own views
Yeah,
on it.
let's discuss it. Let's discuss it.
I would say yes, pay your musicians if the church are financially strong and stable to do so. But then also at the same time, is it very important that when we go into talks or discussions, our agreements in the beginning when we meet, between the musician and the pastor, be clear about, why you want the guy over, what their role is going to be in the church. Because so many times we don't keep to the agreement. And then when things go left, unfortunately, it's always the musician that gets hot water over it. But I say yes, pay your musician if it is a job. Because remember, we must be clear about that thing. If you bring the guy on, be clear that, look, we need you to come and do 1, 2, 3. You see, don't come back later on and say, no, what about sonship and all submission and all those things? If that was not part of the agreement in the beginning, don't bring it in when things go left. So my personal view is, if the church is financially strong and stable, yes, musicians must be paid.
Thank you for your answer, man of God. There was a season when musicians was heavy under attack. You as a musician, you being in a band, being in a group, as well as a pastor, how did you deal with it back then, and how are you dealing with it now?
Um, Pastor Law, back then I was young, I was immature, and I was unsaved. The reason why I'm saying unsaved is because I need to highlight that. What we need to understand is not everybody that you see on stage are saved. I was a worship leader and I was still not saved. So I was young, I was immature, and I was unsaved. So obviously, when the attacks come, I will deal with it the way I feel. I was moved by a lot of emotions to the point where I left church. I left gospel music. I went straight into secular music for some time because I was just mad as a young man back then. But as you grow over time and you grow in wisdom, as you grow in maturity, I started to just focus on, what I'm called for. I started to focus on what I'm at the church for. So whether it be music directing, whether it be a head of department, I'm just there to do what I do. So my advice, even and encouragement to a lot of musicians now, is that, you know, attacks will always be there. And you will always face a whole lot of things that people say. The only thing you need to do is just concentrate on why you are there. Just do what you do. Don't listen to a lot of noise around you. Just stick to why you are there in the first place. That's it.
I have a question for you from Pastor LJ. He says a worship leader and not safe. Not saved. Can you just bring it a little bit closer to home for us, my leader? You are a
Yeah.
worship leader, but you are not yet saved.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. Good question, man of God. You see, the thing is, I am very honest when it comes to this kind of things. And what people don't understand about me is I will never speak about things that I have never experienced. So
Okay.
in when I have to cover this point, and like I said, I'm speaking from experience. I know of many, because I was one of them, who would do some crazy things on a Saturday, and then on Sunday I will hit the stage. I will sing what I know is going to spark something in the church without being led by the Spirit. Trust me, because we know how to do, we know how to sing, we know what melody to play, and just to get the people fired up. So that is what it is. So many times in a lot of churches, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people on stage that's not saved, but they're there just because they are rendering a service.
That's deep. I think this is a conversation for another day, and we can take it even um, further, because what you just said now is happening. It is still happening within the church, but it's a
Exactly.
conversation for another day. I believe that we will meet again on this platform, and then we can discuss being a worship leader and not being saved, because
Yeah.
I witness it on a weekly basis. Even people that standing on the stage that is singing, that the power of God come down, but yet they are not saved. But that's a topic um, for another day. I say thank you to Pastor LJ Haskins for the question. Man of God, what do you think is the reason for musical prostitution amongst talented musicians within the church doing church hopping, besides the fact that you say that they need to be paid? What is the why do we still find musical prostitutions that is gifted and talented doing church hopping?
Yeah. You see, Pastor Law, people will always associate, yeah, musical prostitution with money and all those things. This is my take. And like I say, I'm speaking from experience. With musicians doing church hopping and going from one church to another, and we must get this one thing clear. Not all musicians are in it for the right reasons. There are guys that's just doing this for the bread and the fish. Yes, not all churches are bad. Hear me good. Not all churches are bad. There are some good churches that's looking after the musicians and after the music department. But one of the reasons that I would tell you is there's a lack of appreciation. Because some of us came from churches, myself, came from churches where the money is good, the money is on time. There's not 1 month where your money will be short. But trust me, the lack of appreciation is sometimes the thing that's causing you to move. Because you see, people like to just highlight the money aspect of it, but it's not always about the money. And let's go back to what the agreement was. Like I always say, if the agreement is you're coming into the church, you're going to take care of the music department, and this is what we're going to pay you. This is what we need from you. This is the services you need to do. We need to stick to the agreement. You understand? So just like any other person who's going to work, that person can't tell me he's also not looking out for something better out there. You can ask a person who maybe had a job for 5 years or who's been working for 5 years. That person might tell you, I've been working for 5 different companies or 10 different companies in 5 years. Why? Because they are always looking for better and greater opportunities. So if the agreement from the beginning at church is that you're coming to work here, then what is holding me back not to look for another job that can pay me better? It's the same thing. So oftentimes we are called musical prostitutions or prostitutes or whatever. But the truth is, if we can all just stick to the agreement, if the agreement is we're paying you for this and I'm doing what you expect from me, then you need to pay. If not, I'm going to look for another job.
I hear you loud and clear, man of God. So basically, in a nutshell, what you say is that we as pastors, if we can appreciate the gifts that we have in the house more, and if there's an agreement between the church and the musicians, and we stick to the agreement, you think that we can stop the musical prostitution amongst gifted musicians. Am I correct?
Definitely, Pastor Law. And the thing is, what people need to understand is, wherever you are appreciated, money becomes a bonus. If you appreciate me and you pay me sometimes and you don't pay me, it doesn't matter because money just becomes a bonus, but not the main thing. Appreciation comes first in most of the times because some of us come from troubled homes. Some of us come from troubled backgrounds. And sometimes the only thing that you need in a church or in a pastor is a father. And a father have to show sometimes appreciation. And as you show appreciation, you will also win my heart. You understand? And like I said, not all musicians are in it for the right reasons. Others are there for the bread and the fish. But talking about the good ones, some of them are really there just to be appreciated, just to be guided, just to be cared for. And if they don't get that, they're going to look for the next best thing. Unfortunately, it's like that.
Thank you, man of God. Greetings, Pastor Chess. Greetings, Bishop Harry Siko. Bishop Harry Siko says that when we talk about musical prostitution, we are a bit harsh on the musicians that is doing the hopping from one church to the other church. But in my view, I could not put it better than that because that is what it is. Yes. Man of God, we have many local gifted musicians that is also pastors, but they are underrated. Many provinces, in all 9 provinces, we have gifted musicians. We've lost a very talented and gifted man, Rugen, who was gifted and talented, but he was underrated. How do we get our underrated musicians onto the big stages?
Pastor Law, I'm very careful not to say too much on this one because, sometimes we say too much, then we don't even have a product out there. So as I'm still busy with my project, I'm going to count my words. What I'm saying, Pastor Law, is I'm going to speak about the colored community. I'm going to speak about the colored community. For as long as we're going to be stuck on only making music for the colored people, then our music will not reach the vast communities in our country. And if it can't reach our black communities and our white communities, then it means our music will be stuck only in our little colored communities. So at the end of the day, who's to be blamed for it? It's the writers, because it seems like we cannot think out of the box anymore. Most of the things that we are hearing, most music that is coming out, to be honest, it's something that you've heard before. You understand? So if we are not going to hit that place where we're going to release something that people has never heard before, because I believe that is what the nations are waiting for. The nations are waiting for something that they have not heard before. I like the scripture where in the Bible where it says, all creation awaits the manifestation of the sons. So I believe all creation, the world awaits the manifestation of new music. Artists that will write songs of Zion, that will shake the foundations of heaven. But what we're hearing now and what we're releasing now, it's things that we've heard before. So like I said in the beginning when we spoke about Freedom Day, we're writing a lot of songs, we're producing a lot of things, but we are going back and we go and dig up what has already been done. So is there a way forward? No, we just revamp the songs, but it is all old songs. We just rearrange them, but it is something that we've heard before. So unless we get to that place of doing something new, I believe our music will stay in our community the way it is right now.
So what you are saying, man of God, we need a new sound.
Yes, sir.
We need a new sound, a new directive, and a new narrative to get these things out there so that the world can hear that we can do something that is different and does not stick to the norm that is currently there.
Yes, sir. Another thing is this, Pastor Law. Music is a ministry as well. So if we are called to go out and spread the gospel, whether it's through music, are we saying we're only going to spread the gospel to the Afrikaans, Pinkster, colored people? Or are we going to spread the gospel to the vast world that of all nations? You understand? But to me, this is just my view. What we are currently doing is we're spreading the gospel through music only to our communities, and that's it. And that is why the church are also not growing, because people from other communities, from other races, it's like the door is closed for them to come in, because we are only hitting on one note, and that's it.
Thank you, man of God. Raising up young, talented musicians which from the age of 9 upwards, what principles do we teach them for them to stay in the church and do what they are gifted for, trained and equipped for, to make them competent for the church? How do we do it with the youngsters that is coming up now? I see your son is a brilliant drum player. What do you tell him, and how do you invest in him to stay in the church and become a better musician than the yesteryear church musician?
Yeah, I think it's very important to keep them hungry. I'm the kind of person who always remain hungry in the sense of, I never make him think that he has arrived. So we keep him at a place where we keep on telling him, you can do better than this, you can do better than that. You understand? Because the truth is, Pastor Law, and I'm saying this with all the respect, church musicians and church singers are the most laziest musicians that you can find. Trust me, because they only take the instruments. Most of them only take the instruments on a Thursday when it is band practice. But what's happening in all the other days? They don't. The singers are only singing when they're coming together. But what's happening Monday to Saturday? Nothing. But now in the secular world, as we speak, people are rehearsing. People are checking out new songs. They're bettering their skills. You understand? That is why on secular stages, the music is always on a totally different level from what we get in the church. Because in church, we even practice stuff that we already know. We can't still be practicing Vrou van Samaria. It's a song that's almost 30 years old. Let's start to do new stuff. So with our youngsters that's coming out, we have youngsters that is now currently busy on checking media stuff out, checking sound engineering stuff out, young guys. But what we're now teaching them is that check stuff that hasn't been done yet. Stretch yourself to the impossible. Stretch yourself past the limits that you think you cannot handle. You understand? Because that keeps them hungry.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, man of God. As a pastor, when you go home where you were born and you see your friends that is not yet born again, what motivates you to lead them to the Lord?
Pastor Law, your lifestyle. I have a thing that I always say is sometimes the only Bible that people read is your life. Because what you must understand is I used to do some things with certain guys. I used to hang out with certain guys. We used to do the same things. So now, from me being a pastor now, just telling them about God is one thing. But if they cannot see him through my lifestyle. It's a totally different thing. So to me, is instead of just telling them, it's important that they see it. You understand? So as they are laying around doing what they do, it's important that I'm showing them, look, guys, you know me. You know where I were and what I used to do. But look at what the Lord has done. And that sometimes trigger the desire for them to want to know about this God. Because now I'm not just talking about him, but I'm showing them him through my lifestyle. So to me, that is important, because oftentimes when we go home, and again, I'm speaking from experience, oftentimes when we go home, especially when I was younger, you want to go home and you want to show the guys that you can do this and you have this, and you go to places that you're not supposed to be to go. You know what? People lose respect for you. And they don't see you as a true man of God, because what you say on Facebook and what you are doing behind the scenes is two totally different things. So lifestyle is important before we talk. Let's live a life that shows.
Being a musical family, you and your wife, I follow you guys. What inspire you as the head of the family to keep the family godly?
I have something at home. We have something where, every Friday, we call it Fun Fridays. We come up with some different crazy stuff. So my son will read something from the scripture, and then he will ask me a question. Say, Daddy, but now look at this. Why is this like that? And why did Jesus do that? Jesus was supposed to, especially the story when Jesus met with the father of the boy that foamed from the mouth and that was falling into the fire and into the water. So he read the scripture and he said, look, but Daddy, this boy was falling into the fire and he was foaming from the mouth, but Jesus was speaking to his father, asking his father, how long has the son been like this? Why couldn't Jesus just help him? You see, so they will ask questions like that. So we keep the excitement in the house there through asking questions. So every week I ask them, what did you read? What was different this week? The same with my daughter. There's songs that she's taking on, and then they have shows in the house. They say, no, just sit. We're going to sing for you. And, they perform for us. But yeah, we're keeping it alive, and we're keeping the unity, the love, and the excitement going like that in the house.
Impartation is very important to building a stable home and a stable family. If I can hear what you are saying, man of God. With that said, how do you find ministry in the city and in the area that you find yourself in?
Yeah, we are in Boksburg. We're in Regenpark in Boksburg. It is challenging, yet very exciting, because it'll always be challenging to start something out in a community that had churches for over 50 years. I said to a friend of mine this morning, I said, you see, the problem with people is they get used to a certain fragrance. And then you start coming, you present something new to them, they will come along. But as they're walking with you, they are still searching for the smell that they are used to. You understand? So that
Yes.
becomes challenging, because now before you can teach them something new, you have to get them to a place where they must unlearn what they've learned already. You understand? Because we have a lot of churchgoers and not really partners in the house of the Lord or in the church. So where I'm finding myself at the moment, I've been here before. I've served in one of the best churches in the area. And now I'm a pastor of Kingdom Oasis Church. It is challenging. It is challenging because, there's a whole lot of things hanging over your head. You are a young pastor. You have a young family. You are just a musician. And there's some things that some people know about me that I used to do that I no more do. So, all those things are always staring you in the face. And you have to just deal with it and get over it.
My pastor, can you tell the viewers, the people in and around, those who are listening, those who will come back to listen, where can they find Kingdom Oasis Church in Boksburg, in Regenpark?
Yeah, we are in Regenpark. We are still at 39 Dromedaris Road, Dromedaris Avenue. That's where we are on Thursdays. We're meeting here at 6:30 every Thursday, and then we just deal with some Bible study stuff and prayer. And then, of course, on Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock, this is where we are. Kingdom Oasis, 39 Trombadara Street in Rega Park.
Thank you very much, man of God. Thank you for your time. For the listeners out there, for the musicians that have listened, for the gifted, we are not attacking you guys, but we just want to get to the crux of the matter as to how do we get you guys in the church and keep you in the church. And as the man of God says, sometimes it is not just the money, but it is also the appreciation. And we need to know as pastors, as from what is the way forward to keep you guys with us, because the church and the body of Christ need you guys more now in this time and in this season, because there was a season that you musicians was on under heavy attack, and many pastors they came up for you guys, but many pastors also just laid down and they watched from a distance as how you will respond. But as a pastor myself, I don't have musicians. My son is now coming up to play the drums and as well as the keyboard. But how do I keep him positive? How do I keep him motivated? And that is what we are discussing. And as his elders, I always reach out to the bigger musicians to ask them as to how do I keep this young man entertained? Because this young man wants to play Casey and Jojo them. He wants to play those songs, but he doesn't want to play gospel songs. So how do I keep him entertained and how do I keep him motivated? I always reach out to Harry Siko, one of the most gifted guys in the city. He's very musically strong. So if there's someone out there that is in need of a coach, speak to Bishop Harry Siko. He's online. He's listening to us as I speak now. But man of God, thank you for your time. Thank you that we can have had a talk on In Your Corner with Pastor Law. I would like to bring you back, man of God, so that we can take that narrative further. Being a worship leader and not yet saved. Maybe your story can save those who are still out there that is not saved but leading a worship team. I think that is a story for another time. I hope to bring you back once again, man of God.
All good, Pastor Law, and to everybody, all the viewers, God bless you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you very much, man of God. Family of God, if you would like to sow a seed into our ministry, you will find the banking details on the screen. If you would like to partner with us, if there's anybody that wants to reach out to us, you can find our details on the screen. With your boy, Pastor Law, In Your Corner Inspirational Talks on a Tuesday night. Next week, we're going to have another guest. We're going to have the musical and my personal favorite worshiper, Crystal Josephs, on the scene next week, speaking to you guys as to what it is to submit under your own biological father, and he is your spiritual father. And we're going to dig deeper into the musical side of worship team leaders as well as worshipers within the kingdom. I would like to see you again next week, Tuesday, as we're taking this topic further for the following 4 weeks. I'm also bringing on my spiritual father to come and talk about he's an author, so that's why I need to bring him on to come and speak to us on to why did Mary miscarry. Man of God, I say thank you for you. It was a pleasure having you tonight. To all our listeners, our viewers, keep on supporting us young pastors out there. I believe that this is our time and this is our season to break the cracks on certain things. May God bless you and may he keep you. I'm out.